Hello everybody, this is Kirby over yonder, and sometimes when you love a cartoon so much, you just want it to come back, either because it ended on a cancellation, or because you just want to spend some more time with these likable characters. Well, I'm going to be counting down those types of cartoons. Now keep in mind that my choices don't necessarily have to be realistic. In fact, almost none of my choices are realistic. These just have to be cartoons that I personally want to come back. So with all that out of the way, let's start with the list. Number 5. Dan Versus. Dan Versus did get a really good 3 seasons, but as I stated in my top 5 Dan Versus episodes, I think that there is more that could be done with this show. I mean, they don't even need to change anything about the formula or the characters or anything. It would just be fun to once again see Dan act like a relatable yet nihilistic jerk. And I feel like the writers can have some creative ideas with this show. We could get episodes like Dan versus the Moon, Dan versus Texas, or heck, even his own parents maybe. But no matter what ideas they decide to go with, I'm sure Dan would just be as fun to watch as he used to be. In conclusion, Dan vs. is one of the funniest shows I've seen in a while, and it would be really great to see it come back. Number 4. Rocko's Modern Life. Rocko's Modern Life. It turns out this series is actually getting a TV movie sometime this year or next year or whatever. While I am really hyped for the TV movie, I'd like to see Rocko return with another season or two. Rocko's Modern Life had a very 90s style, and I think that could translate well into the 2010s era. Considering the fact that some of the writers went on to make SpongeBob, I think Rocko's Modern Life could be very successful with a new series. And this could definitely boost Nickelodeon's ratings since they haven't really been doing too great recently. Anyways, I really like Rocko's Modern Life, and I'd be really happy if it came back. Number 3. Clone High. Yeah, remember when I said my choices didn't have to be realistic? Well, yeah. While I don't think Clone High is very likely to come back, I'd still really like to see at least 1 or 2 more seasons of the show. While I'm not going to spoil the ending for Clone High if you haven't seen it, the show ended on a freaking cliffhanger, and to me, 13 episodes is nowhere near enough episodes for a show as great as this one. While Clone High didn't get a whole lot of views when it first aired, it's definitely gained a cult following over the years that would love to see it come back. And hey, maybe we could see the clones graduate high school and go on to college. But hey, even if Clone High doesn't come back, at least we can enjoy what we already have of the series, even if what we already have is very short. Number 2. Invader Zim. Invader Zim. It's gross, it's loud, it's controversial, and yet I love it. Invader Zim really pushed the boundaries for what could be aired on Nickelodeon, and does this a lot better than most other Nick shows. I mean, most Nick shows nowadays either are way too safe to the point where they're just boring, or are way too risky and gross to the point where I just hate them. But Invader Zim strikes a really nice balance. Its gross out is used for world building and isn't necessarily too gross. It would be really cool to see the show have more of an overarching story, and we could probably even see some more Urkin invaders. Either way, Invader Zim was cut far too short, and I'd love to see it come back. Before we get to number 1, let's go over a few honorable mentions. Danny Phantom. This show was really good and does deserve to come back. However, between Tough Puppy, Bunsen is a Beast, and Modern Fairly Odd Parents, it's safe to say that Butch Hartman's shows aren't as good as they used to be, and thus a new Danny Phantom cartoon probably wouldn't be the best. Gravity Falls, my absolute favorite cartoon of all time. But the thing with Gravity Falls is it just ended on such an amazing note that I honestly don't think it needs to come back. At least not as much as these other shows. Don't get me wrong though, I would be really happy if it did come back. I just don't think it's necessary. Number 1. Wander Over Yonder. Why was this show cancelled? What, because it had too many episodes? If Wander got cancelled for having too many episodes, then SpongeBob should have gotten cancelled over a decade ago. There's just so much they could do with another season of this show. We could see some of the new planets, or heck, even some new galaxies. They could bring back older characters, introduce new characters. Heck, we could even get a new villain that's even more evil than Dominator. But most of all, I just want to see these characters again. Wander, Sylvia, Lord Hater, all of these characters are just so memorable and lovable and charming that I want to see them back on TV again. I know some people are going to disagree with me on this, but personally, I think Wander Over Yonder deserves to come back more than any other cartoon ever. While I don't think any of these cartoons are likely to come back, at the very least we can still enjoy the previous episodes. And honestly, I'd much rather have creators think of new ideas than to reuse old ones. So what cartoons would you like to come back? Let me know in the comments, and with that, Kirby out.